Welcome to Roguecast, the official podcast of Rogues Gallery. We'll talk comics for the week, as well as whatever news is on our pop cultural radar. I'm Randy.
I'm Nick.
This is Dave.
And now, on with the show. All right, welcome to the second podcast of 2025.
Right.
Yes.
We snuck in the last one just under the wire.
Yep. Of course, we're as we do this, the current weather report is a new ice age has begun.
Bitterly cold, and I hate it.
We're hiding out because there is a roving mammoth herd outside.
Yep. That's as far as we know.
And
I thought it was frost giants.
I also saw the cold miser.
Oh, he's out there dancing, celebrating.
Yes.
So if you like the cold, you're on Team Cold Miser. How does that make you feel?
I don't know that the heat miser is super cool.
Heat Miser's great. He's Mr. Sun.
Do people know the heat miser and cold?
Probably. Some people might.
All right.
I feel like parents show their kids the claymation.
I bet there's a decent chunk. All our listeners probably know who the Heat Miser and the Cold Miser is.
It's possible.
None of their children.
But if so, if not, it's important that you Google it.
Right. Google the Heat Miser and Cold Miser and tell us which side are you choosing in this civil war.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the fog miser. It's just getting weirdly specific. No, but this is our sort of springing into 2025 look forward episode.
Yep.
We're still going to cover the new comics and games of the week, but I think we're going to hold off on some of the news and preview or trailers we might talk about because we want to talk about cool upcoming stuff for the whole year.
Yep. We were going to do a best of, but Nick and I voted for best of, and Dave voted against it.
Sure.
By which I mean Dave forgot.
Nick was with me previously.
Dave forgot
on this.
to do it. Nick broke. Dave held strong.
You said you were going to do it on your own page or whatever, and I said that sounds good.
I did.
I think if you've listened to us for the past year, you could tell what we like.
We may do a post on our store like Blue Sky and Facebook.
You're like Jed McKay and Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. That's the gist
Daniel
of it.
Warren Johnson.
Daniel Warren Johnson, the Energon universe. You know the
things
deal.
written by Jason Aaron.
Yep.
It's
true.
All right.
True.
That's it.
All done.
Covered. All right. We did get we got some games right at the new year. There's some stuff that just clearly missed the Christmas cutoff.
Yep.
Want to spotlight two cool new games they're $15 a piece. These are really good games. Tranquility the Ascent. I played both of these at BGG Con.
Okay.
Tranquility the Ascent is a little tiny box. It is a chill cooperative game. It is a game that you can play without talking. Basically, you're not supposed to communicate as much as you do in most co-op games. You just kind of chill. So you're not allowed to talk about what's in your hand. But basically, your hand is a set of diamond-shaped cards that have a color and a number on them. And you are building a mountain using these cards by putting them next to each other.
Okay.
And you can't put the same number or color next to each other. But you want your number to be close because if you put, like a green 2, then if you put a red 3 next to it, you have to discard a card because the number is changed by 1.
I see.
If you put like a 4 or a 5, you got to discard a bunch of cards.
Right.
And if you run out of cards, you don't make the top of the mountain.
You know what's weird? I've been playing the Star Wars Outlaws game where you play a smuggler type person.
It's a lot like that.
That you play Sabak in it, and there is a little bit of that to Sabak.
Right. Anyway, this is the second Tranquility game. This one is the Ascent. There was the previous one that was
That sounds pretty cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really good game.
I like the idea of a chill co-op game.
It's super cheap. It's a little box you can put into you can carry in your pocket.
Is this specifically 2 players, or could
no,
three
it's
or
multiple
4?
players.
Oh, okay.
It's not 2 players.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said 2.
No, it's co-op.
Okay.
And then there's Backstories, Alone Again Under the Ice. Backstories is the new overarching game. Alone on the Ice is the sort of first version, and this is kind of like the Unlock games.
Yeah.
You know that where you have like
escape room stuff.
But this is actually based on sort of more like a point and click game.
Okay.
Like those adventure computer games.
The old King's Quest.
Yeah. So you'll spot you'll have cards where it's like a room. And and some other cards you're like, oh well, I'll go here and there's this number and I pull this card, and you're basically you go to Antarctica, you're trying to find your missing brother.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a really good game. It's a fun co-op.
Is it like
game.
those games in the sense that it's a one-time playthrough?
Kind of, yeah. Because once you know the story, I mean, you could go through it again, but you kind of know a lot of the deals.
Right. You can swap it out with a friend for one.
But nice thing is, like I say, $15.
Yeah.
You definitely get a good night of gaming out of it. We got a new 2-player game, Isle of Cats Duel. They're making more of these duel games. We've got Seven Wonders, Splendor. There's an Azul version coming out next year.
They're making the cats fight?
They're making the cats fight. No, it is you're both dueling to determine who can rescue more cats.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of cats, we got a couple good all ages games. We got Super Meow, which is a deck building game for 6 and up.
Okay. That's cool.
It's a very early deck builders. They're a relatively cheap small game, and the first person to have a cat in a cape wins the game.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like deck building is a satisfying format and pretty easy to get into. And as Exhibit A in that, it's that a simpleton like me kind of enjoys them. And so yeah, I feel like finding one that's very specifically geared for young gamers is a cool idea.
Yeah. We've got also a young gamers, I think it's 8 and up, Tariki the Castaway Island, which uses an app and you're co-op exploring an island.
That does sound cool.
Yep. Then we got Quartz the Dice Game, which is a dwarven mining game using dice. Ruination, which looks like a big post-apocalyptic exploration type game. Kyoto no Neko, which is about one of the cities in Japan with all the cats.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those.
Right, Neko, right.
We got an expansion for Forest Shuffle, a second expansion for that. We got a game called Flowers. A couple party games, a game called Captain Obvious. I don't exactly know what this is, but it sounds fun. It's Lucky Duck Games.
They make good games, so.
We got one called Rankster. It's a little tiny cube. It's about the size of a big D6.
Okay.
And it's just a ranking game where you're ranking various things against each other.
That actually sounds kind of fun, too. Sort of also a casual party game kind of thing.
Yeah, sounds like. Then we got the Iconics Eye of the Beholder.
Yep.
HeroClix has a beholder now. So if you want Professor X or Detective Chimp to fight a beholder, now you can do that.
Sure.
I don't think I'd realize this. So wait. It's a HeroClix beholder?
It's a HeroClix beholder.
Interesting, but they're not doing a big push for D&D into
No,
HeroClix.
it's
one of the big
beholder
bads.
mini, and it's a cool looking mini. You just use it for D&D.
Yeah.
But it has a HeroClix base,
Ooh.
and it also comes with a bag of holding with a base and a treasure chest with a base.
Oh, interesting. So presumably things you could use as either objectives or whatever in the game. That's very fun.
Yeah, that was kind of
cool.
cool. And then we got the new 50th anniversary Nolzur's miniatures. We had the pre-painted versions.
Yes.
These are the original D&D minis.
Yep.
And then it's a 2-pack, and you get one that's the original Kobold, what the art looks like in the original Monster Manual.
Yep.
And then what a new school Kobold looks like.
Yeah. The ones I saw on the pre-painted versions were very fun. It was so cool to see the original ones, which are iconic in their own way, somewhat a little rough-hewn, but always with a bit of charm to them. And then the cool new designs. Are there 5 of these? 10?
Oh, there's 5? Okay.
There's kobolds,
goblins,
elves, dwarves, goblins,
and mimics. Okay.
Cool. So if you have been around the block with D&D, as many D&D players have, this might be a really fun thing.
Unfortunately, the new packaging does not show it off very well.
Right.
They are changing that. There was such an outcry about how terrible the new packaging was, but the minis are still cool.
The minis are the sculpting quality. I think they're basically the people who are doing the sculpts and stuff are still very high quality.
It was just the change.
The packaging just kind of sucked for a little while, but they'll be getting back to the old school packaging. In the meantime, I'm sure you could just find a cool picture online of what these look like and know if it's for you.
Yep. So I had to look up because I was they're making a beholder. Are they doing anything more with D&D?
Are they?
They are. They're going to continue the Iconics line. They're doing an owlbear and a Displacer Beast.
Oh, that's cool. I like
some of their big iconic baddies. Yeah. Not that an owlbear is a baddie, it's a goodie.
No, owlbears are good.
Yes.
That's why we have the head of one mounted on our wall.
Wolverine has to fight a Displacer Beast.
That'd be pretty cool.
You know what he'd do? He would use his scent to know where the Displacer Beast was.
I know, but that would be a cool story element.
I smell Displacer Beast stank.
All right, let's talk about comics for the week.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Is this a slightly lighter week still?
No, it's a reasonably big week. But so let's start with DC's new All-In. They have a new Aquaman.
Yep.
By Jeremy Adams, who had been writing Green Arrow, or Flash. Was he writing Flash? I feel like he wrote Flash before the current guy.
I couldn't tell
Spurrier.
Aquaman's
anyway,
got a new power set though.
He does.
He's got his classic
one of the
things.
power displaced.
Yes.
But am I correct? He's got both his. He can still swim. He's strong and all that stuff.
Yes. But now he has
doesn't-
water kinesis.
Well, he has all of Mara's abilities.
Yes.
But he didn't like lose his Aquaman powers, right?
Yeah.
Or is she just mirrored up?
Mara has those powers too.
I guess so too. Basically, you're an Atlantean, you're strong, but
Yeah,
he's quite strong.
He doesn't have to talk to fish anymore.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I didn't realize that he
He
had
can't talk
dropped
to fish.
Yeah, basically has Mara's power set.
Instead, he's got water bending.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. Aquaman can still talk to fish. We can all talk to fish.
Yeah, and we can.
They just don't
can't-
talk back to
right.
him.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He can't. Fish can't talk to him.
It is an era of kind of a cold war between him and the
Yes.
fish.
But I kind of like seeing Aquaman a little bit off his game, trying to kind of learn these
He
new
seems like
abilities.
super powerful in this, though.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has his kind of
He's
will.
off his game in the sense that he's training and under Mara.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's it's not like we're in like Daniel and Miyagi phase where he's like a little untried learner. He's doing like big things
does
with
big
it when
things,
it
yeah,
begins.
yeah.
But he is having to figure it out, and the art. There's some cool art of him doing some of those big
Yeah.
things.
Also
I also
is
noticed
King of Atlantis.
he's still King of Atlantis.
Yep.
He's got a family with a kid. I don't know much about the kid.
Yeah.
But I was pleased to see that it's not one of these. There's not like a massive amount of angst around it, nor is it a Game of Thronesy book where it's going to be all Atlantean politics.
Right.
Not that I haven't
In fact-
enjoyed that at times.
In fact, there's a very big mystery about Atlantis that's going to lead him in sort of another realm at the end. So
yeah, that reveal is actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I have
it
to
is.
admit.
Yeah.
So
we'll see
I like
what happens.
Aquaman. I like that he's getting a kind of a new directive, and yeah, I thought it was a good first issue.
Yeah, I did too. My favorite thing I read so far in 2025, in the 1 week,
what a way to put it.
yes, is The Lucky Devils. This is a new one from Charles Soule and Ryan Brown, who previously did
8 Billion
8
Genies.
Billion Genies and Curse Words.
Yep.
If
And
you know
as a reminder,
that,
the hook of 8 Billion Genies was that everybody on Earth got
a genie with 3 wishes.
Was it
No,
3?
I thought it was just
Oh, it was one wish.
Yeah,
You're
it's
right,
one wish. And like they all basically all the wishes start going off simultaneously.
It became apocalyptic real fast.
It became apocalyptic
Oh, yeah.
real fast, but it was also kind of fun anarchy too.
And the premise of Curse Words was that there was this wizard who was supposed to destroy Earth, but instead he went native and became a superhero here.
Yep.
So if you know these guys, you know that they do kind of weird premises. I don't want to give away the premise of this,
No, but
basically it follows two characters who are both sort of like, there's a guy who's an adjunct professor and there's a woman who's a nurse, and they're both kind of down in their luck. They have kind of crap lives. They keep having bad luck, and then you will come to find out there's a reason for that.
Yep.
And that there's a twist to it, and it involves devils, and it's a great premise. It's a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see where it goes from here.
Soule has carved out a fun little niche for
And I
himself.
have to say, Ryan Brown.
Brown's art's great.
He has a really good look. I love his very. His devil characters are fun. They just are creepy and cool.
There's a new book from Dark Horse called Those Not Afraid by Kyle Starks. Has really nice art by Patrick Piazzalunga.
Sure, I'll guess.
And it's a serial killer book.
Okay.
It's
Is this the one where there's like rival serial killers?
there's two serial killers. They're both active. There's a crime podcaster who like sets up the opening, and basically they're competing for the most kills ever.
Okay, sure.
It's a little gross, to be honest. Like for me, it was a bit too much.
Yeah.
But if you like the serial killer stories, you might want to give that a look.
right.
I think all of us would say our personal favorite serial killer story of late was Beneath the Trees.
Beneath the
where
Trees,
nobody
yes.
sees,
Sure.
Which did in fact have rival serial killers, but it kind of happened in a more, I guess I can only say Dexter way.
They were in a game.
It was more like, you are treading on my territory and I will put you down.
a bit of cat and mouse. Kind of
yeah.
Also, this one really goes in like the violence against women and that kind of thing. It just kind of put me off a little
Yeah.
bit. But if you like true crime stuff, this is going to be more of your
Right,
like,
right.
I want my serial killers to only be animals killing geese.
Right.
Just geese, nothing else.
What if Zodiac a bear?
What if Zodiac Bear? EC has another series, Cruel Kingdom. This is their sort of fantasy-esque one.
Yep.
These have been doing pretty well for Oni Press. This has some great...
Short stories with fantasy hooks.
This has Greg Pak, Al Ewing, Chris Condon as
Did you see
artists.
who one of the artists
And
is?
the artists are Leo Max, Kano, and Charlie Adlard, all really good.
Yeah,
So
Walking
yeah,
Dead Man.
really good creators doing these stories. Marvel has a new Red Band book called Daredevil Unleash Hell. We don't know if it's good or bad because it's in a bag and we can't read it.
I believe it concerns Elektra.
Yep.
When she was in the Daredevil role.
She still is.
And when I was making the sign for it, the implication I got was that the murders themselves are the kind of grisly aspect, not like, I'm sure ultimately also how she kicks ass trying to avert them or avenge them or whatever she does is probably part of it. But maybe it may be like 7 with Elektra in it. I don't know.
Do any geese get murdered?
No, Electra's a fan of geese.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
She's
like, Matt,
tenacity.
I have something to confess to you. Yes.
Marvel has New Champions #1. This is a set of bunch of new heroes, new young heroes who are like. There's a riff on Captain Marvel. There's a riff on Moon Knight. There's a.
Am I right that they're all original? This isn't like
these are all new characters.
It felt like they were trying to capture Young Avengers,
or New Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, or just the previous champions, which had Amadeus Cho, Hulk, and Ms. Marvel and stuff like that. But this is kind of unique in having all the new characters. What's weird is I don't know quite what... Oh, they have shown up before?
Apparently
they showed up in Spider-Woman. This writer...
right.
Writer's Spider-Woman. So it does open with the Brothers Grimm, which, gets points for me.
Sure.
But there's Moon Squire, Liberty, who has hard light constructs. I'm like, is she, related to Songbird? Because that's the hard light construct.
Is this a reverse Thunderbolts kind of thing, Randy, where they're going to look like one thing and there's going to be a reveal about them?
I don't know.
But that would kind of make sense, for people...
Cadet Marvel, who is he says jet-powered punches, so it's like the Captain Marvel. He's wearing the Captain Marvel, the Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel.
See, it would make sense if they were doing something like the big reveal of the Thunderbolts in the 90s, in the sense that they have all these new characters, but I guess...
I don't think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, probably not.
There's also someone named Hellrune who has a mystic spear that seems to hail from Asgard.
Yep. But it would make sense to do it right now because there's the Thunderbolts movie, and so they could... And it's conceptually...
The tail end of this seems to be a sort of recruiting drive where they're going to introduce a bunch of new characters.
And then there's one character that is definitely very popular.
Is there?
Yeah. Spider-Boy.
Oh, right. We spotted him at the very end, right?
Yeah, he's one of the recruits, though.
But, I see it looks like a Doctor Strange type. It looks like a young Juggernaut, maybe.
And they're finding some Asgardian stuff that's kind of fun.
Yeah. I thought of some cool ideas in here.
So it's probably good to have some new blood. These will be characters who will show up in Marvel Snap and various other licensed properties and stuff, and the MCU could mine them eventually. There's a Magik #1 that's with a K. That's Ilyana Rasputin.
Yep.
I believe this is a miniseries. That sees her going in more of her magic side of things than her mutant side of things.
Dealing with some stuff from her past as well.
Yeah. People seem to be hyped for this. People are ready for a magic comic.
Yeah.
Then we have another Disney What If. What if Mickey and his friends began in Fantastic Four?
The one thing that's... I'm not super into the Disney Marvel stuff, but Donald Duck as the Thing, I need to see him do it it's quackening time or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, he will do.
Sure. And then the second part of the What If Galactus, where Galactus transforms various characters into his herald.
Yep.
This time it's Gambit.
Yep. I hope that Cosmic Gambit is going around picking up chicks at CD space bars.
Sure.
I know you'll both have these sitting on top of your stack. You're clearly Jones going to talk about All New Venom #2.
I mean, I do because I have a theory.
Oh.
now.
Dave has a theory. I like the theory. I think it's possible.
I think I threw it out almost as a joke when we were talking about the original. But now the more I see of the obscure characters and stuff that Al Ewing has pulled into this book, the more I start to feel like it just possibly could happen.
He's winning me over, especially by using the supervillain group that he does in this.
It's the Death Throes.
It's the Death Throes.
They're doing they're in the middle of a job, but it's also like a recruiting drive. And by the way, there's a guy who looks like the mascot Gritty.
It is 100% the Gritty from Philly.
And there's
he's literally throwing cheesesteaks.
That's right. He does. That was a little goofy, but
was goofy, but it worked.
And there's also a pirate lady who throws cannonballs. Yeah.
Yep.
Heave ho.
Heave ho. So yes, this is kind of finding that balance of cheese and really kind of old school entertainment. I like.
It's very rooted in the Marvel universe, but what happens between them and Venom is actually kind of interesting. And there's some other deeper cut characters that show up, like the guardsman.
Some of those are actually known guardsmen.
Yeah. He calls out one of them had a history with Venom.
I thought that was
now.
neat.
All right, Randy, are you ready for this crazy theory?
Okay. Yep.
I think the meat of this book is, in fact, the mystery, right?
Yep.
And you once again have another meeting in this one of like Luke Cage, Robbie, and Rick Jones, three of the possibilities, and they're like, well, there was just another appearance, and weirdly, we all weren't around then, and they're like, we could all say we were doing something, but nobody can vouch for us or whatever. And they're like, well, let's try and rule out Madame Mask. And
she's the other possibility.
The fourth possibility. So that's the thing that they're trying to do, and also Venom's son in a little subplot is working on that too.
Yeah, he wants
or Eddie
Venom
Brock's
symbiote
son,
back.
yeah, right, because they just went to war over it. All right, Randy, do you remember my Team America Gestalt theory?
Yes.
All right, here's why I think that actually could be something to it. The whole reason behind the Marauders' transformation back in Team America, the crazy motorcycle adventurers of the early 80s, was because they had been, little did they know, experimented on by Hydra, and that was a weird side effect.
Okay.
And any one of them could become the Marauder. And I think that Al Ewing's interest in this book is this group of people doing the investigating. I don't think he wants to break it up and have a big reveal that, oh, now we're all done. I think these people are going to stay together as a strange, informal team that has to kind of be around each other to summon the Venom.
Do you think they were infected by a Venom somehow? How do you think they became...
I have no idea.
Okay.
Al Ewing has proven himself to be innovative and is coming up with this kind of stuff. And I think Madame Mask will, in fact, be a difficult fourth partner in it.
So this team is Luke Cage, Robbie Robertson, Matt Murdock?
No, Rick Jones.
Rick Jones,
Rick Jones, okay.
They will be. It won't be a team in that they're like, let's plan it, let's go do some good. But they will talk about that kind of stuff, and though they'll have to. I think they probably will have some kind of like we have to geographically be within like a city's width or something like that to summon one of us as.
So
as
Venom is run by the mayor of New York.
Yep.
The publisher of the Daily Bugle.
Yep.
And Rick Jones.
And Madame Mask.
And Madame
Mask.
Yep.
I like this theory.
It's a fun theory.
It's wild. I like it.
Yeah, I just want it to be out there because I've had a lot of theories. Also, they've never proven right. But this is a time where...
like something Al Ewing would come up
with.
He
just used the death throws. The first time I was aware of the death throws was in the Hawkeye miniseries that came out almost at the same time as Team America. He is looking at those old school days.
It's true.
Okay. And there's some other little things in there that made me think it, but that's the big pitch for it.
I also like that Eddie Brock's son is turning the screws on Paul, MJ's boyfriend.
I saw.
Oh yeah, he's a little shit.
One of the things that's kind of funny. We are in various retailer groups, and one of the retailers posted hey, if you hate Paul and who doesn't, you might want to read this week's new Venom. And everyone commented like, shut up about Paul. Nobody wants to read Paul. They didn't want to hate read him. They just wanted to go away. And I'm like, wow, Paul may be the most hated character in all of Marvel.
There is a bit, by the way, in here where somebody is talking about the new Venom says something science-y.
Yeah.
And somebody says, oh, that's interesting. You would say that, and there's a suggestion about I wonder if you pick that up from, and they get cut off. And it's like, almost any one of these characters, you could probably, if it was one of them individually, come up with something where they've interacted with a character with some sciencey skills. But Al Ewing is having fun, I think, dangling hints like that without saying too much. Anyway, fun book.
Worth mentioning that only Venom #1, we are getting a second printing of that is due on February 5th. Because I know a lot of people missed out on that.
Yep.
I don't know that we ordered enough of it. We'll see.
Weirdly, I was talking about this earlier. I'm like, I like the book. I don't know if traditional Venom fans are going to like it because it doesn't vibe like the traditional Venom.
Well, but the Venom fandom has died off a little bit, so they kind of need a new fandom.
Right.
So maybe it's better for people who, like us, would not really read a Venom book usually.
Right. Sure. But are not against the use of the character.
But unfortunately, the business downside of this is that we didn't know this was going to be kind of cool and unusual, so we didn't order a ton of it. So we will probably sell it at #2 fairly quickly, and then we are out of #1, but we are hoping to Marvel's pretty good about getting second printing, so we're going to try and catch up to this.
Yep. You said cool and unusual, and that made me think Cool and Unusual Punishment would be a cool title for something.
Yes, Cool and Unusual Punishment.
Yeah.
All right. There is the final part of Raid on Greymalkin, the Uncanny X-Men crossover.
Yep.
This week.
Yep.
There is a new issue of Transformers.
You get Bruticus.
With Bruticus.
A lot actually happens in this issue.
Actually, Bruticus versus Devastator. It's right there on the cover, which is...
I mean, that's big, but also in the fight school... was it Soundwave versus... Well, I guess I don't want to reveal who it is.
Yeah, you don't want to reveal who it is.
It's kind of thing, but Soundwave has a big throwdown with somebody, and it's pretty cool.
A cool Autobot jumps into the fray.
That Laserbeak, who I don't want to say the deal with Laserbeak, but Laserbeak has an interesting interaction with somebody towards the end, and I was like, oh, that is an unexpected use of Laserbeak.
And Thundercracker continues to evolve as an interesting character.
Yeah.
Namor comes out this week, Jason Aaron's Namor, which I'm really enjoying, which marks the first week in a while that we've had a Namor and an Aquaman book in the same week. I don't know when that last happened. 1997?
Duel of the Sea Kings.
And then, of course, Absolute Batman number 4 comes out this week.
Yep.
This was a kind of flashbacky issue.
So a different artist takes over for this issue to give it kind of a different vibe. That's Greg Walta, which I recognize, but I can't remember what else they've done.
It reminded me in some cases of like a little bit of Matt Wagner, a little bit of oh my gosh, who's the guy who drew Sandman Mystery Theater?
Oh, Guy Davis.
Little bits of those kind of artists.
But this is sort of an issue to flashing back what happened with Bruce and his dad, and also sort of Bruce's trial and errors of coming up with the persona of Batman.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting backstory.
Yeah.
I really dug the issue.
The weird thing with the teeth early on was kind of fun.
I was like, okay, that's a choice.
You know what? If you're trying out some possibilities for a bat,
Yeah.
at some point you might consider something with teeth.
This Bruce has a bat fetish.
They did.
Totally.
He did.
Any other single issues, Dave? Is there a...
I was just going to mention this for those of y'all who enjoy reading the old Silver Age facsimiles. There's a Brave and the Bold Justice League one that's... I guess it must be the first appearance of like the Weaponers of Quard. That's just called Challenge of the Weapons Master, and he's I think portrayed as a time traveler who's got cool gear from all these different time periods. This is one of those Gardner Fox stories, and I guess Mike Sikowski was the penciler. I have to say, I do kind of like these old school JLA things. Sometimes the art is actually surprisingly good in it, even though I'm not a big DC Silver Age guy. But these are some like kind of campy but interesting sci-fi stories. I mean, like this was like the 50s, and not a lot of time travel stories, I think, in those days. So kind of a cool notion.
And then trade-wise, we've got Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, Volume 1.
Yep.
This is the first 4 issues.
Yep, with Jerry Dugan, sort of about a Old West guy, and I can't remember where she comes from, but they basically get
She's a samurai?
She's a samurai, right.
Yeah.
And they get sent to hell from different time periods, and they...
Fall in love.
Strike up a relationship. Yep, it's right there.
It's right there in the title.
But I know people have really dug it, so it's cool to get. And this is a $10 trade, so it's definitely worth checking out.
And it gets the James Tynion Award for long title.
It's true.
That's true.
We've got one copy on the shelf as we speak of the 1982 DC Comics Style Guide.
This is not going to last.
This is it's a weird project, but it's super cool.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be like a surge of interest among people who kind of came up in the Bronze Age when this would have come out. But the iconic DC artist of the era, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez,
responsible for everything.
Yeah, who did like if you ever had licensed DC anything from like the 70s and 80s, he did the designs on it, lunchboxes, toys,
T-shirt,
color forms, like all of it, man. And a lot of people, if you see like kind of like a classic DC Batman, in a lot of cases you might actually be thinking of him as more iconic than say Neil Adams, because of he just did so much of the representative art for that kind of stuff, and he's super talented and a great anatomist. And so these are like all of his style guide sheets. He's like, here's Batman drawn from 3 different angles here, and like this for dozens of characters.
There's also like the bat plane and the copter. It's like all the
color tests.
They give stuff out to licensors. Like here are your models. Here are what you use, and it's fantastic.
It is. It's cool to see just how much stuff he can draw. It was originally like this, like a big old 3-ring binder, I guess that would be It probably kept in various offices in like the DC publishing, but rare chance for fans to get in behind the scenes and see some of the best art for an iconic artist. He's lesser seen. So yeah.
Like this is a big fancy hardcover. Like I said, we have one left. I don't know if we will.
It's one of those. If you have the means, I highly recommend it.
We also got the Captain America Saga of Sam Wilson trade. This is the Nick Spencer stuff that I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
And this is all good stuff. It features
where Daniel Acuna drew it.
He drew a bunch of it. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
it features
stuff.
D-Man.
Yes,
which I know is not as important to everyone else, but it should be.
And in a rare case, used pretty respectfully.
Yeah, used well, not used a joke.
Yeah.
This is when Sam became Captain America the first time.
Yep.
It's really good stuff. They're putting it out in time for the movie, but if you've never read it, I highly recommend it. There's a new printing of Death Vigil, Linda Sejik's new graphic novel, which has been out for a while. There's another Dr. Seuss graphic novel, this time Green Eggs and Ham, a new story in the Green Eggs and Ham world. And
the Hamiverse.
The Hamiverse. And there are like a dozen little golden books, including Gilmore Girls, I Am Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I Am Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and a new Dungeons and Dragons that features the fallbacks, the characters from that novel that I really enjoyed, which they have a pet Otyug.
Yep. Also, if you're a Swiftie or know a Swiftie, there's a thing on her cats. Some graphic novel about her cats.
Yes, that is true.
I forget what it's called.
Their names. It's called Karma, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Miss Karma, something like that. And it has the names of her cats. All have full names.
They do.
They have a first name, a last name, and then their last name is Swift.
Yep.
So
cats.
I briefly knew the name of all three of Taylor Swift's cats yesterday.
Yep. It's now escaped.
I don't know it. I don't know it again.
But perhaps you know someone who liked both cats and Taylor Swift, and this would be a fun gift book for them.
Yes.
Or perhaps you know someone who hates Taylor Swift, and you want to give them...
This would be a super fun gift for them, actually. It might not be fun for them, but it'll be fun for you.
But if you do that, no take-backs from us.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about all the stuff we're looking forward to in 2025. All right, so we did some research and found what's available out there, and we are going to talk about what we are looking forward to in 2025.
Yes.
This is probably a lot of this in like the first half. We don't know what's coming up in all of 2025.
Some of mine is later.
But we're guessing.
I've got stuff that is like... a few things on my lists are a little bit informal, and they're just like, we hope it makes it out in
There's some stuff that may not come out.
Right. And I have stuff that is like slated for November and December. So.
Semi-related to this, before we get into it,
yeah.
I did a deep dive on like board games, like before, like what board games are coming out.
Yep.
And I watched Dice Tower, Tom Vassell, it's one of the big... And it was kind of funny because they're doing their thing, their top 10 things they're looking forward to, and they're like, this was on my list for last year and the year before, and I'm not putting it on one more year. Yeah. So there'll be a lot of things like that where it's like, we're looking forward to this, even if it doesn't happen until 2027.
Yeah. I mean, there's some comics that have been in limbo. Like, I think there's the Sin City that Frank Miller has been wanting.
His Western...
Yeah, he basically has said that there's a new Sin City that was supposed to be hitting like last year.
I don't think
it's
I want him to do that.
I'm not sure I want either.
I saw something on that when I was looking up some stuff, and they said that the artist on it was supposed to be not him, but Milo Manara, aka guy who draws the pretty ladies in Europe.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, Milo, I think he is.
If the machines are working.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. I guess the point is, don't hold us to us. Don't sue us if that's even possible.
If it happens in December 2025, if these things have not come out, we are not to be held liable.
And I think we're going to do this we're going to kind of do TV and then comics and then movies. Yep. And we're going to kind of whiz through them pretty quick, bouncing around. We know we'll have some repeats, but we haven't talked about this in advance.
Nope.
So that's where the excitement
We don't know. None of us know.
And Randy is a crazy list maker, and Nick and I did this like the night before.
Nick put a little more effort into you. Dave, we're a spectrum. We're a spectrum. I make giant lists. Nick makes some lists. You are a night before test crammer.
I did this actually a few nights ago.
Oh, I see.
I didn't know that y'all wanted to do a stupid best of last year thing because y'all weren't clear about that. But anyway, I made my list a few days ago.
Yeah. Okay. I assumed it had flown out of your head until I reminded you.
I was speaking in a amusing sense.
And I had parts of this because I like to make lists of movies because Letterboxd is programmed to do that.
Yeah, Letterboxd is great.
Let's dive in and do TV.
Let's do TV. All right. So the stuff that's coming up really soon, Severance Season 2, I don't know have you watched that, Nick?
I watched the first episode, and it
is bleak.
It is bleak.
It's a bleak show.
I like Adam Scott a lot. I think he's a great lead. I love Christopher Walken.
It doesn't strike me as the kind of show that you would dig.
Yeah, it's just one of those I just didn't.
But Dave was considering it when there was a free weekend on Apple
Yeah,
Plus.
I want to try it. The weekend was a little too busy. Yep. But okay, so Severance.
Severance also on Apple Plus. Mythic Quest. This you've seen, right?
Yeah, I love Mythic Quest.
This is from the people, because some people do it Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It is about a World of Warcraft-esque type studio and these sort of egomaniacs who run it.
Behind the scenes of running it.
You saw they're doing a
and they're doing something in March called Side Quest. That's going to be some of the other characters.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really funny and definitely worth a look.
Yep.
We talked about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yep.
It's coming up in January. We talked about the trailer for that. The final Cobra Kai.
But to remind people who don't know, it's an animated new Spider-Man cartoon.
Yep. Spider-Man cartoon.
It's I believe CG animation, but with cell shading over it. That kind of has a classic, I want to say an 80s, 90s comic look to it.
Yeah.
And a Peter Parker who's got you know how Miles had the halfway costume in the beginning of
this is him
Spider-Verse
figuring stuff out.
Pete kind of has the same thing where he's got these kind of big clunky web shooters that are attached to a backpack or something.
It's sort of a nod to the clunky one that he had in the MCU when we first saw him.
It's not that clunkier,
but it's that style.
Yeah, it's that style.
Yeah,
it's this is what a homemade costume.
Pretty solid trailer for it.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai is finally getting its third part of its final season in February, so I finally watched. I gave up on Netflix's splitting up season. I'm like, you know what? Tell me when it's done. I'll come watch your whole season.
I'm behind on it, so I need to catch up on 2 seasons.
I'm excited to see how it wraps. Then in March we get Daredevil Born Again.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Charlie Cox reprising his role, Vincent D'Onofrio. This is definitely high on my list of things.
It's on my list, but it's the interesting thing is I don't have a lot of enthusiasm for it.
Really?
Again, really? I never finished watching Daredevil.
Well, I didn't either. But the thing is, Netflix's Daredevil was boring. I thought it had high highs, but it had low lows.
Well, you know what's the weirdest thing? I enjoyed the more fun Daredevil that we saw in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And that is the same actor in all of these things. We know with a slightly tweaked continuity. But this is arguably an adaptation of Daredevil's darkest story.
Yeah.
But I think
so I don't know quite how they're going to handle it.
I don't know if it's going to be a complete adaptation. But
I'm sure it's not going to be.
But it's also going to be...
They've already done a bunch of it.
Do you think Nuke is going to be in it?
I don't know.
But it's run by Marvel as opposed to Netflix, which is run by, what's his name? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb, who, as much as people love him in comics, TV is
not great.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this one.
Nick, do you know the Cinemax shows Banshee or Warrior?
I know Banshee and I know Warrior, yes.
So the writer of that, Jonathan Trupper, who's also a novelist.
This is on my list.
Okay, this is on your list. It's called Your Friends and Neighbors.
Yep.
It's another Apple show.
Mainly because of the 2 leads.
And the leads are John Hamm and...
Olivia Munn.
And Amanda Pete's in it,
Amanda Pete, yeah.
Basically, a hedge fund manager is fired in disgrace, and he starts stealing from his neighbors' homes...
to kind of keep
his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he starts discovering secrets behind their wealthy facades.
This sounds sort of darkly humorous.
Yeah.
Also, John Hamm, people love from, what was his AMC show?
Mad Men?
Mad Men, that kind of dark drama.
He also played the best Fletch.
He did play...
He did. I will always be angry that there wasn't more of that Fletch.
I mean, he loved that character so much that he put his own money to make that film. I wish he would do it again because I thought he was great.
It's just that nobody watched it.
But nobody watched it.
Not nobody. Only right-minded people watched it.
2 of the 3 people sitting at this table watched it and
correct.
probably own it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I own it.
It's great. It's fantastic. If you have not seen... What's it called? Is it Fletch? It's not Fletch 1. It's
not Fletch 1. I think it's like...
Now I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. But John Hamm, I love Olivia Munn from
Confess Fletch.
Confess Fletch, yeah. Olivia Munn's underrated actress.
Yep. Agreed. I liked her a lot in the Newsroom.
Newsroom, she was fantastic in. Her as Psylocke was weird in the X-Men movies, but, whatever.
At that point, they were not exactly firing on all cylinders.
She was great casting.
Yeah, she was great casting.
They just didn't give her anything to do like everybody else. That's on my list, too. And then, next up in April, Andor.
Yep. That's my big thing. That's the show I'm most looking forward to for the whole year. Andor season 2, I think 3 years out from the season 1 or something like that.
I feel like it is that, or is it
a big
2?
one. there was the writer's strike delayed it like everything else.
It was 2, I think.
I think it's only 2 years.
Okay. Right. We of course we know what happens to Cassian Andor.
It's true.
But among the things that they would be resolving on the show are the kind of his initial thing to try and track down his sister from their original planet.
They're going to be doing a time jump.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's going to be.
I forgot about that too.
Basically, he was kind of all in finally on the rebellion at the end of the first season.
Yeah, he joined what's his name.
And I guess it's just like we're not going to see like his tentative early days of.
I think they're going to jump into
his Rocky training montage.
Gritty.
Yeah, things will be in place
behind the scenes.
We know that his droid was it
K2.
K2 will be showing up,
which I love that Alan Tudyk is going to get to come back.
That's cool.
He's great.
Although I'll be curious to see how it's that sort of who's it? Tony Gilroy?
Yep.
Is that the showrunner?
Yep.
I'm not quite. I'll be curious to see how he writes him. I guess he did write. He co-wrote Rogue One.
And then Gareth Edwards kind of took over and gave it a little more like adventure elements to it.
I'll be curious to see if he does anything different with it. But then there's also subplots from the first season, like the weird try-hard guy and the Imperial officer chick who he kind of almost got his incel fantasy fulfilled of like saving her life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is that going? I have no idea. And how can you end this satisfyingly knowing his fate in Rogue One? I do think that's where you lean into whatever is going to happen with his sister.
Yeah, I feel like Andor has to have a win in some way.
And also, since the weird romantic couple of the lady officer and try-hard Imperial guy, since she was directly responsible for like a really horrific torture sequence in the first season, she got to die.
I trust Gilroy at this point.
Yeah, I do too. But really like it's also kind of a unique project. It could still, it may not come together as great as I'd hope, but I think I'll like a lot of incidental stuff in it no matter what. So,
also coming in April, they just put a new teaser out for it. Last of Us Season 2.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this.
At some point, I will finish watching the first season.
I know this is an adaptation of the second game. I unfortunately know some spoilers.
I don't know anything.
That's good.
Some of my friends were talking about something, and I'm like, don't spoil anything. I haven't seen this.
But I haven't even watched the trailer. At this point, I'm just gonna watch the show. It's a bleak show, like all kind of zombie post-apocalyptic things are, but it's superbly made. I mean, Craig Mazin and is it Druckmann? No.
Yeah, Neil Druckmann.
Yeah, they are a perfect pairing.
They're great.
So
every time I watch this, or when I listen to like the Watchmen, I always want to watch Chernobyl. But I know it's too much of a bummer. I know I'm not going to enjoy it.
I'd watch it because it is kind of a bummer, but it's not as bummer as you think.
Well, April is when I will have Max back, and I'll probably go back and watch
it's an
Creature Commandos
show
and Sex Lives of College Girls and whatever other stuff that was like and Kite Man and whatever else. Like I've been holding off on Max for a while just because they're so expensive.
Yeah,
and there wasn't a lot I'm dying to watch. But Last of Us is definitely that, and that will get me to watch Max again for a while. And the last bit of things that I have that's for sure coming out this year is Ironheart in June.
Yep.
Which I'm looking forward to. We're going to see the Hood.
It's true.
Played by the guy from
In the Heights.
And Transformers. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And then the stuff I don't know about on my list. Stranger Things Season 5. The final Stranger Things season is supposed to be this year.
Yep.
So hold on that for a second.
Okay.
Are people? Do we still have any interest? Are we?
Yes.
Are we bored?
100%. I really love Stranger Things.
I don't care about the ages at this point.
Right. I don't.
People get hung up on that, and I'm
momentum has been lost for me. I could almost skip it.
Man, I love the last season. I know you weren't as big on it.
I think I might revisit. I might start at the beginning.
Yeah,
to kind of
I might go back.
Jump in.
Really?
I really still like Stranger Things.
I was always a little lukewarm on it, or like originally I wasn't interested at all.
Yeah.
I tried it and it didn't take. But then I kind of ended up watching it during the pandemic times, and I was like, this is a pretty fun show. But it never kind of elevated to like I love this show, and I don't think could. So I am, but the reason I asked is because I think when I saw some announcements in it, like the comments were like negative even for the internet, right? Like it seemed like people were real down on it, like who even cares now? And so I was just curious if that was a prevailing opinion, or anything. Because I am going to watch it. Like, I think it's probably going to be pretty good, even.
Yeah.
I just...
You're just not looking forward to it.
Not super looking forward to it. I mean, it has been a bit.
That's fair. I really like it. I still love everybody in that cast, and yeah, it works for me. Strange New World Season 3 is supposed to be this year. We got a cliffhanger in Season 2, and then there was a strike.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see where that picks up.
What was the cliffhanger? Is this Gorn stuff?
Yeah.
His girlfriend was like down on the planet. Like
basically,
a bunch of them
Pike
were.
had to make a decision.
Yeah,
he knew where the decision was going, but we'll see.
But a bunch of them were like stuck on the planet with the Gorn. It didn't look good.
Well, it was like Scotty, and like the introduction of that. And...
That's going to be weird when they kill Scotty off.
Yeah,
it's true.
I would actually like it's like all the Tarantino where they do the ending and like I could totally see them doing a different thing.
No,
they won't do it, but you could.
Not unless they wanted to finally prove the haters right and say this isn't in canon.
Yeah, that's true. Second seasons that may or may not happen in this year. Peacemaker.
Yep.
It's time. I'm ready.
I think it's coming.
It may not happen until next year though, because he's doing Superman and Creature Commandos and all that. But
he's good.
They were filming it though, right?
They've already filmed.
But Superman has to be the mother of all.
Yeah.
Keep you busy.
Superman's done. It's in the can. They're doing post.
Yeah.
Right.
So he may be done with that side of it. We'll see. Poker Face.
Yeah, that's on my list.
It's time for season 2 of Poker
Natasha
Face.
Lyonne.
I feel like
she's been busy too, though.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not like the director isn't busy too.
Right. Brian Johnson.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to movies. X-Men 97. There's been some controversy around that, but that they had already done season 2, right? Like
they had done, I think, some initial
They're going to redo some stuff.
They're going to redo some stuff.
I think they'll screw it up.
I don't think they will.
They're just going to take out the sexual harassment that what's-his-name wanted to write into.
But what if that's key? What if that's baked into? What if you can't have cool Nightcrawler moments without sexual harassment?
I can't wait to be gaslit by Morph.
And then One Piece. Live-action One Piece.
That is coming.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've already filmed it.
I had forgotten about that, only because I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, they haven't been talking about it.
But that was one of my favorite things of the last year,
because Netflix only announces things like the week before they come out.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's weird that we know that Cobra Kai is ending, because usually it's like, next week, here comes the show.
Okay, so I have a bunch of stuff you did
not. Go ahead.
All right, so coming like this week or next week, there's American Primeval. It's on Netflix.
I'm curious about that. Who's doing that?
I don't remember his name, but I think he's done a lot of producing. This is his first time directing.
Yeah.
But it's Taylor Kitsch, who is very kind of like hit or miss, but I really like him as an actor. And Betty Gilpin, which I love.
I do love Betty Gilpin.
So this is kind of a gritty Western frontier thing.
It's the series directed by Peter Berg. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Peter Berg from Friday Night Lights.
Oh, okay.
The movie Friday Night Lights.
So,
And The Rundown.
I like all the pieces of this. We'll see if it actually can deliver. Netflix is kind of shaky sometimes.
The trailer's interesting. It looks very violent and gritty. Yeah. I'm always unsure about Westerns. Like, the more real you get, the less interested I am. I like Tombstone. But then you use something like Deadwood that was realistic in its way, and I loved that.
Yeah.
This says... The grittiest and adventurous exploration of the birth of the American West, the violent collisions of cults, religion, and men and women fighting for control of the new world.
Cults?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be realistic?
I don't know.
I
mean, yes, it is. I think it's...
I was going to say, I'm not particularly familiar with cults, but I don't know how they mean that.
I don't either.
Interesting.
But it's got a really visceral-looking trailer. Yeah. I'm curious about it. I'm kind of with you on this, Nick. It's like, I'm not sure if I'm sold, but I'm interested.
I'm interested. And then some stuff I don't have. I know it's coming. I don't have like complete release dates because I wasn't that crazy. Right. But Welcome to Derry, Anthony Machete. No, this is the It.
The
prequel. So I'm curious. I like the movies okay. Anthony Machete is kind of like a middle of the road director.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to be directing this or if he's just producing.
Yep.
But I like the It world.
Okay.
So, we'll be curious to see how they do it.
I wonder if they're going to get into any of the funky cosmology, the turtle.
I hope so.
Did they show in the second one the bit where, like, Pennywise as a sort of otherworldly, other-dimensional entity crashes on Earth in, like, primeval times?
I think they did. They did the whole comet thing.
I couldn't remember if they showed that.
But I know that Bill Skarsgård is going to reprise his role as Pennywise,
Yep.
so sure. The other kind of Alien Earth. I think
What is that?
That is Noah Hawley's Alien TV series.
Oh, right. Yeah, I am looking forward to that. I
So
forgot
this is
that
about
was,
a group of Marines who find a crushed spaceship on Earth and that has a xenomorph. So it's basically what we've wanted to see in some capacity for quite some time.
Is it too late?
No. I don't think so, because Noah Hawley never does
Noah Hawley has
something-
never missed.
In movies, I think he has. He made that weird kind of
movies?
sci-fi. Yeah, he's done one or two, and he...
But on TV, he has never missed.
No, on TV he has not.
And not just never missed, but like some of the best TV. Like
Legion.
I've never seen The Unusuals.
Unusuals
I know you
is
really
great.
like that one, but Legion was amazing.
His run on
Fargo
Bones was
amazing. He was on Bones.
He wrote for the first 2 seasons.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. I did like that actually.
Yeah, he's amazing at what he does,
Yeah.
and
He is
I'm excited
one
to
of
see
the best people working in TV.
what he brings to sort of a military kind of Aliens, but with his own spin on it.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see that.
I was always open to it. I guess I'm theoretically more open now after like Romulus had so much good stuff in it. But
Also, coming this year, which I know this should interest you, Dave. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Dunk and Egg stuff from Game of Thrones.
Is that what that is?
It is.
Okay, yeah, I had it on my list, but I didn't write down anything about what it was.
Yeah, it is the adaptation of that stuff.
Okay, so that was the Hedge Knight story,
Hedge Knight stuff.
short stories that
I'm
I've read in
sure
graphic
Martin
novel
will
form.
expand on it a little bit.
Sure.
That is at its core what the show is.
Essentially, two characters traveling around that have like that bounce off of each other in really interesting ways. These are good smaller Game of Thrones stories. That said, it's not like I've been watching House of Dragons,
House of Dragon.
whatever it's called. So not like super feeling the Game of Thrones vibe right now, but I'll almost certainly try it out.
And then Apple TV's got a bunch of stuff that I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
The Studio, which is Seth Rogen's new thing about
I saw that. I'm not a Seth Rogen fan.
I like Seth Rogen, and this also has like Catherine O'Hara, Catherine Hahn, Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah.
It's such a pedigree that I'm like... And the idea of basically this guy trying to save a kind of like on its last leg studio sounds like an interesting inside baseball kind of thing.
I'm always wary of the inside baseball people. People in Hollywood always think Hollywood is more interesting than it is.
Right.
But every so often you get something that works.
You have movies like, what was it? The Player?
The Player,
I don't know. I like the idea behind it. Dope Thief, which is another Apple TV with Brian Tyree Henry, about 2 lifelong friends posing as DA agents.
Based on a real story.
Yep, and them kind of taking out getting some drugs and stuff from a rival gang, and shit goes weird.
Yep.
Brian Tyree Henry is great, so I'll watch pretty much anything he does. And also, this is on the schedule. I don't know if it's actually going to hit, but the adaptation of the Murderbots books.
Is that a TV show? I thought it was a movie series.
No, it's a TV show by Apple TV.
My wife loves those books.
It is going to be produced and starring Alexander Skarsgård. I don't know if he's going to be doing the actual voice for the Murderbot. It kind of makes sense.
Okay. For those who don't know, Murderbot is a really good sci-fi novel series.
Basically about a bot that kind of becomes
more self-aware and becomes more of a freelance bodyguard.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the last one I have is from Netflix. It's a show called The Residents. It is with... I
saw that one.
With Uzo Abuda, who was one of the leads on Orange is the New Black.
I saw this described as like Knives Out in the White House.
Yeah, it's a zany murder mystery set in the White House. Basically, I think it's at like a state dinner. There was a murder, and she is the detective called in, and she's a little odd. But there is a host of people involved.
It's a great cast. I'm skeptical about this premise.
I think it feels a little like After Party.
Yeah, which could work. It could
work. Especially, I don't think we've ever seen we've seen serious stuff happen, like murder at the White House, like murder at 1600 and things like that.
But Uzo Aduba is great.
She's great. So that is everything I've got. Dave, do you have anything?
Only a handful of things left. Let's see. I think there's supposed to be a 7th series released of Black Mirror this year. Which I mostly haven't seen those, but the ones I've seen has had many great episodes. So, let's see. they're doing a 25th anniversary total rethink of the old Walking with Dinosaurs thing that was a really cool, like a BBC series 25 years ago, as crazy as that seems.
God, that's
and
insane.
it did have like really cool, basically there were like people walking around in like, the Cretaceous and Jurassic eras, and it was filmed exactly as like they film, nature documentaries now. It's just that it's like, oh, we're back at 20 million BC and stuff like that, and here's like a little herd of protoceratopses and stuff. And at the time, the special effects were as cutting edge as you could get as far as just making it realistic.
Yeah.
So now they should be able to pull off some pretty cool stuff too.
Yeah.
I think the last thing that I wanted to mention is something I'm actually unsure about, but this is going to be a movie. It's the Star Trek movie Section 31.
Yeah. I had that in my movies.
What's that?
I had that in my movies.
Yeah, I'm throwing it out because it's Trek is generally
thing.
TV stuff,
Yeah, that's fair.
and it's coming out through Paramount Plus. But that's their Black Ops show with Michelle Yeoh in the lead. I'm anxious about it because it doesn't seem very Trekky.
Yeah.
But I think that the way I might plug into it is if it kind of has the fun action adventure stuff of the Trek '09 movie, the newer movie stuff, and can pull off some of that energy and camaraderie, or honestly do a James Gunn type riff.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I love Michelle Yeoh's version of that character, and even though I'm wary of it too in the similar ways. I
really don't want Star Trek to be doing like, what's cool? Black Ops that subvert the rule of law. Yeah,
I'm hoping it will be a fun romp that does not damage the Trek universe.
What I would like it to be is a little bit like what James Gunn did with Suicide Squad, which was to say a fun dark romp with dark dangerous characters that ultimately was like, oh, this is a terrible thing that we do, and we are going to tear down the system.
The director is somebody who's been involved in like the Star Trek stuff, right? So I don't think he's going to go too far afield.
Maybe, unless they think, this is what Trump World wants, is a bunch of quote. No, this was all done before that we thought that could happen, but I certainly don't want a glorification of Black Ops.
No, I don't for
sure. All right, let's jump over and talk about comics, which is a thing we sometimes do.
Yeah.
Comics is actually one of the hardest things to find out what's...
Yeah, because
they do not announce far in advance.
I mean... And there's some big stuff coming, so there's like Hush 2 and
I don't think any of us are particularly excited about Hush 2, unfortunately.
No.
Right.
But
hence the Jeff Lowe brand that we had earlier.
I will tell you the thing that I am looking forward to. Ryan North is doing One World Under Doom at Marvel.
This is on my list.
I'm always skeptical of big crossovers, but like Bloodhound was a lot of fun.
That was kind of Jed McKay getting his day, and he did pretty good with it. Ryan North, you've been liking him writing the regular FF for like 2 years or whatever it's been.
I've liked most of what he's written.
Yeah.
So
he came in on the Squirrel Girl, right?
Correct.
Do you think Dr. Doom's going to get beaten by Squirrel Girl?
He did the webcomic Dinosaur Comics. That's where he came from.
Okay.
So like he came from webcomic world and then did Squirrel Girl and
I think Ryan North is due a crossover.
Yeah,
and
he's definitely getting to be one of their big guys.
And I love Doom. I'm curious.
Do we know what the premise is?
Oh,
this is Doom as Sorcerer Supreme.
Okay, I mean he's already Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, but I think this is like
he's basically
him taking over.
He's basically trying to take over the world using his Sorcerer Supreme powers. Yeah,
which will be interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with it. We have there's an image book called Bug Wars.
Yep.
Do you see this one?
Jason Aaron,
who I think has been on all our lists. Mahmoud Asrar art.
Yep.
And is described as sort of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets the
John Carter.
John Carter. Yeah. Oh, you saw that one too.
Yeah.
Which is sounds super silly.
It looks like fun,
but it looks like a lot of fun.
Here's I actually happen to cut and paste their description on this one. When Slaymaker is shrunk down, he finds his backyard has transformed into a fantastical realm of warring insects, a war in which he's destined to play a key role. And am I correct that are the insects drawn as like people, kind of like big bug men, kind of armored people and stuff? And it looked like it was R-rated Jason Aaron in the previews I've seen, where they're like swearing. It's like wartime stories with bugs and stuff. It looked bonkers.
It sounds like a blast.
So we'll see.
Also, outside the mainstream, while we're talking about that, because this is the hardest stuff to find, Patrick Horvath, who came on the scene with Beneath the Trees.
Yep.
He has a sequel to that. There's a preview of that in Free Comic Book Day, and also a one-shot from Oni called Free for All.
I forget what Free for All is. Other than it's a
looks
graphic,
sort of weird.
It's a graphic novella I saw. So it's a standalone thing. but I forgot what its deal is.
So I had a couple off the beaten path ones that I found.
But the sequel to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is a big
excited about that.
Right
Super
of spring.
Yep.
So there's a book called Assorted Crisis Events. This is Denise Camp and Eric Zawadzki, or I can't say his last name. But it is said, time is having a crisis mingling in the red light district. You can find actual cavemen. So it's basically like converging timelines as a post-apocalyptic thing. Denise Camp has been doing a lot of dark stuff, so I'm going to be interested to see how he can take a little lighter version of this.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it.
Real quick, Nick, just since we had just mentioned Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, it reminds me, it's apparently that's part of IDW's new horror line.
Oh, yeah, that's
called Dark. Not Dark. IDW Dark is what it's called.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And so just, I don't think any of us know too much about it, but when that's part of your spearhead, that's pretty notable.
Yeah.
Because I think we would mostly say that Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees was one of, if not the favorite comic for most of us last year.
It was my top comic for last year, for sure.
And I think it might have been mine, too.
While we're on that, I'll chain off that, and then we get back to what Nick was talking about. Vertigo.
Yep.
We don't know anything. We don't know anything except that they rebranded the
Nice House by
the Sea.
Hope they didn't go all in on Neil Gaiman.
Oh no. But hopefully we'll get some new Vertigo stuff this year.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
And Vertigo, when it was at its peak, was great, and I hope that they've got some good stuff lined up.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's interesting to see that imprint back.
Anyway, Nick, you were saying.
Coming very soon is Rick Remender's new book, The Seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is probably his best first issue.
I know you really like that first issue, which we have read a preview of.
Yeah, art by Paul Azaceta.
Yeah.
What's
the premise on this one again?
Basically, a traveling carnival that brings about doom and destruction.
Okay.
It destroys the city, but it also focuses on sort of a mailman who is somehow tied to stopping it.
Okay.
I think it's a bonkers premise that I think he executes very well.
Okay.
And then what else? I was trying to think of anything. I'm curious about the Battle Beast book.
Oh yeah.
I like Invincible. Kirkman I think excelled at Invincible. So seeing him and Ryan Otley return to that product. I think we'll get a lot of people excited. They're also doing a weird thing with it, which is curious. They're doing A, B, and C covers.
Huh.
The C is like a randomized, like polybagged, and you can get
I don't like
a ton of different covers that apparently some have like artwork. I know it's weird, it's dumb, but it falls in line with what Kirkman does. He likes the kind of crazy.
There's a little 3-page preview in the back of Transformers.
Who's the artist on it?
Ryan Otley.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm also excited about the next wave of Absolute books from DC.
Not Absolute. Or are you talking about Absolute?
Absolute Comics. So you're getting Absolute Flash,
right.
Absolute Green Lantern,
yes.
and Absolute Martian Manhunter.
So we should talk about this. Green Lantern is Al Ewing.
Al Ewing, yes.
I forget who the artist is, but it's really nice looking.
Yep.
And it's going to be
Lindsay.
Okay, and it's Joe Mullen and someone else like.
I saw 4 names thrown out in like some preview. So there was like Guy Gardner, Hal, and Jon Stewart were like all going to be together. But Joe Mullen, who's we know from what's it called?
Far Sector.
Far Sector is I think might going to be the organizing character that it's built around.
That's a cool idea.
But it's going to be a different spin on presumably all of them. So I can't quite predict how it'll work. But I like that idea. I think Green Lantern is sometimes best approached as kind of an ensemble project.
Yeah, for sure. Flash is Jeff Lemire, and I forget who the artist is.
Nick Robles.
Oh, I like that art.
This is about.
I did find a picture that showed the costume and everything. It's Wally.
It is Wally, huh?
So it is Wally.
Young Wally.
Young Wally, kind of when he was Kid Flash, I guess.
They said no mentor, no Speed Force. So like I don't know exactly what that. They're doing something very different.
Well, they're doing.
He's just going to burn up the first time he runs fast.
That's the premise behind all the absolutes. Is like they're no trappings.
Or maybe actually, honestly, with the Speed Force was one of the things that they used. They used it to like hand wave away almost anything that'd be like, why wouldn't you burn up? Yeah. But like, what if he's only running like around 200 miles an hour or something like that? That's very fast, but it's not like gonna burn up fast.
The one I'm most excited for is the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, that's Denise Camp writing it, right?
Denise Camp again, but it's the art by
Javier Rodriguez.
Yeah, the art looks great.
As I was thinking about it, I think Lemire, I think, is best on like smaller kind of focused characters and stuff like this. And I think his Flash actually became one of the ones I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah.
Maybe even over Martian Manhunter. Although the best looking art is, I think, the stuff for Absolute
Rodriguez,
Martian Manhunter.
Sculpt the form for the Martian version of John.
Yeah. Like he made a little clay, weird, almost geometrically shaped version of him, and then his art looks like his claymation sculpt.
It's fantastic,
and looks really cool. It's like different from any John Jones they've done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, those actually are all really interesting possibilities.
So this is a rare exception to the nobody announces things. DC has announced their compact editions all the way through the end of the year.
That's true, they did.
And so what we're getting
good stuff.
In May, Kingdom Come. These are all $10.
Yep.
In May, Kingdom Come and Static Season 1. In June, Deceased and Batwoman Elegy and Superman Birthright. Then in July, The Authority Book 1, Superman Batman Book 1. This is some old out-of-print stuff by Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, Michael Turner.
Yep.
DC New Frontier, which is one of my favorite stories of all time.
I've never read it. Buy it now.
Wonder Woman Blood and Guts, which is the Brian Azzarello, Cliff Chang Wonder Woman.
It's good stuff.
Which anybody who's enjoying Absolute Wonder Woman should definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And then Neil Gaiman's Death with Chris Bacallo on art. In September, we're getting a Harley Quinn. This is some of the Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti stuff back in print.
Yep.
Batman Long Halloween for $10, which is insane. Why the Last Man Book 1, V for Vendetta, and We 3.
I mean, you do have to squint a little at these.
Yeah, if you have good eyes, I love this format. I can't use this format. It's of no use to me.
I like that it exists, but yeah, if I was going to read Long Halloween, I'd want the bigger version with Tim Sale's art.
Yeah.
But especially I think for Generation Manga, which, by the way, that's manga's been a thing since the 90s, so that includes me too. But people who are more comfortable with it. And have younger, better eyes. Might be more fine with them. And again, it's a great way to sample things.
Yeah.
It is crazy. We were talking about this the other day. We mentioned before, but say Wonder Woman Earth 1, originally probably three $15 graphic novels.
Yeah.
If assuming you got the soft covers and not the hard covers like us.
Yep.
That's $45 right there for all three of those, or now $10 for all three.
It's a great deal. I am not the target audience because for me, I want the oversized hardcover in almost everything I can get.
Yeah.
I would rather buy that format. So I would rather spend the money and get the oversized hardcovers.
But we like this DC initiative, and we're happy it's around.
It's a great initiative,
people.
and they're putting out a lot of stuff. And Marvel's doing their own version of it. It's not $10. It is actually they're more like 15, which is still not bad. And they're going to be the same sort of digesty size. And they've announced the first, I want to say 5 or 6. I'm looking at my list. They're called the Marvel Premiere Editions, and they include Daredevil Born Again, the Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther, and Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, which is actually really good stuff.
It's interesting that this is going to give a little bit of a new lease on life to a lot of these stories. Honestly, Gotham City Sirens, just a random example. That's kind of had been a little bit of a forgotten series. And it's not like it's the big seller. Watchmen and stuff like that, and Court of Owls and All-Star Superman. Those are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But it's going to get a little bit of a new lease on life, and all of these books are.
Yeah. And this is not necessarily a thing for me, but I did see ElfQuest is getting a color collection.
Yep.
They're putting that back out in color. And also, this is definitely for me, they're putting the Energon stuff out in hardcovers.
Yeah.
So the first 12 issues of G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, and Transformers in deluxe hardcovers.
But I will double back on the ElfQuest stuff. Yeah. People have been asking us for. They have asked us this the whole time that the store has been open. People are looking for color editions of ElfQuest.
Yep.
Now, I think, unfortunately, I think Wendy Pini doesn't like the coloring that I think a lot of us do like. That was from the old Warp Starblaze editions. And so they've redone it when they did the Dark Horse ones, and I think this is still coming. Or sorry, that was DC. That was when it was at DC for a little while in the mid 2000s. Now it's at Dark Horse, and I'm guessing new colors. I don't quite know.
I bet.
But yeah, I think they're doing they're calling it ElfQuest, the original quest. And I think they're basically taking what had been the 4 original graphic novels that they did and doing those. We'll see how the color is, but I think it's almost certainly going to be good. And since I still consider it the best fantasy comic in comicdom, certainly the most complete, and these 4 comprise kind of their, like, Star Wars original trilogy or the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's the big story. So I'll be happy to see that back in print.
Do y'all have anything else comic-wise?
Yes,
Okay.
I've got a few.
Okay.
I'm curious about Ultimate Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Condon's writing it,
Yeah.
who's, what? Is it, he's writing Green Arrow right now, but Texas Blood.
Texas Blood is his big
And I
thing.
know that was a
And,
huge seller for people. They loved it. So I'm curious to see what he brings to the table. I have a weird, the Eddie Brock Carnage, which is coming, which is Charles Soule. Eddie Brock, for some reason, gets the Carnage symbiote. How that kind of gels, we don't know, but I see he's going to prison at times, so
Sure.
hoping for interesting stuff there. There is a one-shot that has Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom that's going to be written by JMS and art by Ella Casagrande.
JMS is doing a series of one-shots, and they're all weird like that.
Yes, but I love the idea of the Howling Commandos fighting Fin Fang Foom. It's just a silly idea.
But I imagine he will play it pretty straight.
Yeah, I think
maybe
he
a
will
little
too.
bit. I mean, I'm sure he'll probably do a little bit of goofy to it, but it's going to be like World War II soldiers versus kaiju.
Yeah, and speaking of giant monsters, the Godzilla versus Marvel, which kicks off with the Godzilla versus FF, written by Ryan North.
I forgot that was Ryan North.
Yeah, and it's going to be like out-of-time stories, basically like alternate. So it's like a version of the FF takes on Godzilla.
Okay.
Oh no, it's FF versus King Ghidorah, because Ghidorah comes to that, and somehow Godzilla comes and joins the FF to save Earth.
That's fun.
It's a fun idea. I think Ryan North will do it justice.
I didn't realize it was Ryan North. That has me interested.
And then some odds and ends. East of West is getting a big compendium called the End Times, which is the whole shebang. All 10 volumes in one.
That's Jonathan Hickman.
For like $60. Fantastic story.
Jonathan Hickman's sort of post-apocalyptic Western.
Art by Nick Dragotta, I believe.
Yeah.
Then I've got Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch. Which is coming, which is actually written by the guy who wrote a lot of the cartoon.
New Bad Batch stories. That's a good thing.
Yep. And then the last one, which is the silliest one of them all, but it's part of the young adult DC line, The Mystery of the Meanest Teacher, a Johnny Constantine mystery. Basically about John Constantine being sent to the U.S. to avoid something, and he has a mean teacher at school that may or may not be a witch. It is the silliest, but it's also, I feel like it's written by somebody, I forget who writes it, but...
Well, they tend to pull respectable YA authors who do not take these like as like larks. They treat them seriously. Yeah. Even if there's some lightness to the stories, but... does he get busted smoking in the boys' room? That's
I mean, I will have to expect that he does. But I think that is all that I have.
Dave, you got anything else on your comics list?
Nope.
All right.
Oh, that is also written by Ryan North.
Oh, Ryan North. All right, it's the year of North. All right, let's jump over and talk about movies. This was the easiest part for me because they've announced a ton. I used Letterboxd. I've got a big list of movies. I'm sure we have something similar. Maybe we just kind of go back and forth.
Sure.
High on my list is Leigh Whannell's new horror movie, Wolfman.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're all interested in that.
Definitely looking forward to that. Nick?
Jurassic World Rebirth.
Oh, okay.
Scarlett Johansson. Don't know much about the story, but I am on board for anything Jurassic Park at this point.
Okay. Dave?
Let's see. I'm going to throw out a few here because y'all been talking a bunch.
All right, go ahead.
Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Okay.
That's going to have Mia Goth and Christoph Waltz in it.
I saw the director of Nosferatu saying he's like, I want to do Frankenstein, but I couldn't crack it. I'm glad Guillermo del Toro's doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those, like, maybe not 100% going to make it out in 2025, but maybe is.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's see. Zootopia 2.
Oh, yeah.
That was a surprising win of some years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what's going on with it, and also not quite sure I want to see what's his name as a cop.
Yeah.
It seems a little like I get why you end it with that kind of for the first one, but I'm interested to see, given the sort of generally, I think, really smart and good story that they told in the first one, and also the world that they built that's very cool to look at, the cityscape. to see what they do with it. And one more weird one, just to get it going here. The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
That's and I believe Pamela Anderson is the femme fatale.
Yeah.
And it's directed by the Lonely Island guys.
Right.
Right. It actually has enough interesting ingredients that this reboot of the old what was the why can't I say the name of the Leslie Nielsen?
Yes.
Leslie Nielsen series, iconic series of the 90s, really.
Yep.
If that
Those movies still hold up, so we will finally get Liam Neeson doing comedy.
Yeah, as was foretold.
Yep. I will run down the movies for superhero stuff because we've talked about this a ton.
Yeah.
Just real quick to mention that this year we're supposed to get Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, possibly. I bet that's 2026.
That's 2026.
Captain America: Brave New World, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, Superman.
I hadn't realized Fantastic Four was hitting this year, and relatively early in July.
Yeah.
It is the free comic book. Or no, but
they're both Superman and Fantastic Four will hit in July, and I'm super interested in both of those.
Yeah.
I think Superman most of all, but the Fantastic Four is only slightly behind because it's like it has always been so hard to crack that one.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've got a good shot at it.
Man, if they nail both Fantastic Four and Superman in July, it's going to feel like it's going to be very hopeful at a time we probably will need the hope.
Right. I want those movies to team up like Barbenheimer.
Yes. Yes.
And
I agree.
Be supportive of each other.
Fantastic Superman.
There's no way that Superman can be to trash talking anybody. He's got to be lifting up people. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that all bodes well. Thunderbolts and Cap are all both stuff I want to see.
Nick, what else on your list?
I'll run through a couple.
Yep.
There's a new Guy Ritchie film, In the Grey, with Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal and Alicia Gonzalez.
Is this crimey?
No, this is his crazy action movie.
Never as big on his action movie.
Oh man, I like his crazy action films. So I was a big fan of the Ministry of Gentlemen. And
but that's in the sort of the same vein.
This is kind of
okay.
This
All right,
is in
okay.
that vein.
It's not his Wrath of Man.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, good.
Also, on the Frankenstein thing, Maggie Gyllenhaal has a new film called The Bride, which is Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale, focusing on the Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is a weird director. She's done some very dark movies.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what she does with this. She's always an interesting director.
My note on that says it's set in 1930s Chicago.
Yeah.
Is there going to be like gangster stuff in this?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Well, I cut and pasted something. In 1930 Chicago, Frankenstein asks Dr. Euphronius, which I believe was from one of the movies, like original black and white movies, maybe Bride of Frankenstein, to help create a companion. They give life to a murdered woman as the bride, sparking romance, police interest, and radical social change. Huh? So, but it has am I correct? Jake Gyllenhaal and Christian Bale in it.
Yeah, and then I assume Jessie Buckley's playing the bride, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that was just I didn't know who that was, but yes.
Also, I think on all of our lists probably is Mickey 17.
Yes.
Yep, that's
Bong Joon-ho.
His satirical clone movie
with Robert Pattinson.
It looks great.
It looks funny.
It's a futuristic thing where I think there's supposed to be some deadly ice planet thing or something like that where he's initially sent to go there, but somehow ends up fighting with his own clones.
Well, I think there's a protocol in there that you could never have more than one iteration of the clone.
But somehow
one of them survives. So they basically are fighting to the death or something like that.
Yeah.
I will watch anything Bong Joon-ho does at this point. I've gone back and watched all of his older stuff.
Yeah, his kind of dark and satirical world is also a good voice for the modern times.
I'm worried that if I watch Akshay, it will make me vegetarian.
I mean, it might. Didn't me, but I could see it. Dave and I will probably be enjoying this one Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Which is the video game adaptation of...
curious about that one.
Of these kind of very story-driven, kind of like in the style of a Telltale game, but the horror game that was about some college-age students getting together at a ski resort kind of thing.
Yeah, ski resort.
Or actually, it's just like a cabin, because they are kind of on their own.
It's like a family cabin.
But it's like a big kind of cabin. On the anniversary of the death of one of their friends, which still has some mysterious elements to it. And there's kind of a question of like, oh, is it going to be quite a slasher? Is there something supernatural? Yeah. And depending on how you played the game, there is like a set story that reveals whether it is things that.
But there are different ways to accomplish said
different
thing.
People could live or die in it, and it was a very very well written, very fun game.
I was also it was fun to find out that Peter Stormare is actually going to be reprising his role the movie.
He's the therapist guy?
As the therapist.
That's awesome.
I feel like I may have gotten this either as a freebie or a cheap buy on PlayStation.
It's really good.
I don't think I've played it, but I believe I have it.
It's a scary game.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Maybe I'll break it out for Halloween.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
I want to mention Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah.
Knives Out 3.
No release date on this
release date,
just
but it's
yet.
supposed to be this year. I bet it'll hit the October, November, just like last one.
Rand Johnson, I will be always watching.
Yeah, always got to see the Knives Out. Although I was lightly disappointed in the last one.
Every time I rewatch Glass Onion, I like it more.
Yeah,
I liked it, but it just could not match that first one.
The first one's great.
The first one's great. I actually really like the second one as well. I rewatch it pretty regularly and really enjoy it. Sinners, the new vampire movie by Ryan Coogler with Michael B. Jordan. But also Delroy Lindo, Omar Benson Miller.
It's a supernatural movie with some like horror elements, or maybe is horror.
It is horror.
I also saw this crazy thing that said it also included their shared love of anime.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which I believe it means there's going to be some over-the-top shit, which that Tommy gun in the trailer looked like it could have been.
Michael B. Jordan loves Dragon Ball Z, and he actually mimicked some of the stuff in the last Creed movie, because he actually directed
it. I heard that. I remember reading that.
So, yeah, there was definitely elements. I'm curious. All those people involved make it interesting.
Wicked for Good, which is the sequel to Wicked.
It's on my list.
Super excited about that.
I am super excited. I've watched Wicked twice now, and it just keeps growing in my
Everybody
esteem.
likes Wicked.
I'm glad we don't have to wait like 2 years to get the second part.
I agree.
It's the right way to do things, but had it not come off as well, probably there wouldn't be this big energy toward it. Yeah. But seems like it's one of the big successes of the year.
John Chu was the perfect person to do it.
That dude's star is going to be even more on the rise now.
Yeah, and the cast. I mean, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo just nailed it. They're so interesting.
A little horror triple play here. Megan 2.0, a.k.a. Mithrigan.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
28 years later. We've talked about that before. Very much looking forward to. And Steven Soderbergh's haunted house movie, Presence.
Curious about that. Yeah.
It's Lucy Liu. Looks at the trailers, kind of give that kind of weird vibe to it, but it's him.
It's hard to tell exactly. Like the first trailer I saw felt was like mostly just a teaser, and I don't know that I've seen anything since.
There's been one more that kind of gives a little bit more.
I almost don't want to watch it. Yeah.
And also Soderbergh's never done horror.
No.
Yeah.
He did Solaris, which is kind of like Russian sci-fi, but
that was a remake of it.
That was a remake.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I'm like, what are his interests going to be in it? What is it going to feel kind of unusual for a horror movie, or will he kind of enjoy the tropes? I don't know.
There's also Companion, which is a horror comedy, the Jack Quaid weird. Where he's like a serial killer that kidnaps a woman, but there's a romance between the two.
Jack Quaid may have a good year because he's also got that Novocaine coming out.
Yeah.
I'm curious about Edgar Wright's Running Man.
Yeah, I had forgotten until I was looking this up that Edgar Wright was doing that.
Yeah.
Well, it's Glenn Powell and Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Well, Edgar Wright is always an interesting filmmaker.
Yeah.
He doesn't make as many.
He's pretty selective about what he wants to do, so he can always work on sort of passion projects.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen his last two movies.
Last Night in Soho is great.
And did he also do Baby Driver?
Yeah. I really like Baby Driver, and I really liked Last Night in Soho. Last Night in Soho was a little disappointing to me. Just because I thought the trailer was amazing, and I thought the movie itself was only okay.
Oh, really?
But it's a really interesting film. The last two things on my list: Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I like all the Mission Impossible movies. I'm curious to see if they can bring it home and if Cruise will actually let it go.
Yeah, that I don't see happening.
No, me either. But maybe. And then
he might let it rest for a while and then come back for one last.
One of our friends on Facebook said, once they do this movie, they should bring back the Mission Impossible TV show.
Yeah.
It's time. They can do a really cool, weekly TV show. Have Ethan Hunt running the IMF if he still wants to be involved. Have him as the guest star who runs things, or just do a completely new cast.
Only now they can use AI.
Now they can use AI.
Well, that's who they're fighting right now.
And then I'm uncertain about this just because they've been since Endgame they've been so hit and miss, mostly miss, maybe all miss. But Electric State, the thing with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown,
it's getting some buzz.
It looks interesting. I'm curious.
Since Endgame, who has been
the Russos?
The Russo brothers.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think it's going to be good. But I'm going to watch it. I'm going to try.
It's fair to bet that.
Yeah.
I want to quick round mine out with two guilty pleasure type movies. One, actually, I mean, I legitimately enjoyed it. It's just not a great movie. I want to see Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And then this one, probably, I don't know, visually I might want to go see it. Even though I've never enjoyed one of the Tron movies, Tron 3 Tron Ares is supposed to be out this year.
Man, I don't think I can.
Yeah, they're not going to have. I don't think they're going to have a Daft Punk soundtrack.
I don't think so.
That was the saving grace of the last one.
But I always think like, well, what if they learned something?
What if they got it right? What if they got it right?
Yeah, Nick, what else? Anything else?
I have a couple of sequels. Actually, all of these are sequels. Nobody 2.
Oh yeah.
I like the action adventure.
I liked it. I
Bob
don't remember
Odenkirk,
very well, but
is always has a good time.
Yep.
Fear Street Prom Queen, which is another Netflix horror film that I like the trilogy.
I like them. I kind of wish I liked them a little bit more.
I wasn't into Fear Street. I tried it.
But this is like an indie horror guy who they've tapped to do this one. So
Fear Street is the R.L. Stein kind of adult stuff adapted into movies.
And then finally, I have a love of magician movies, weirdly. So the Now You See Me is coming back for a third one.
I have never seen the second one.
The second one's not good, but Daniel Radcliffe gets to have a lot of fun.
Okay,
and
all right.
There's stuff to like in it. But I like Jesse Eisenberg. I like all the people involved in here. Dave Franco.
Do people like Jesse Eisenberg?
No.
I think he's good. I don't think he's made a bad movie.
No, he's not talentless, but I do find him annoying.
He is not the lesser Michael Cera.
In a way, I think of them both as lesser. But yeah, don't let me stop you from enjoying it.
I'm sure there will be many other movies I press play on, but that's
the starting for now. All right, let's talk about games. Another thing that we do some of, not just tabletops, but also some video games. That I think Dave, you and I have one that I think we both were like, oh, this looks good, which is Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra.
Yeah, I've watched the story trailer, but I don't know like exactly what the gameplay is like.
Yeah, me neither.
It is a 40s wartime story that seems to center around Captain America and the original Black Panther.
Yeah, so not T'Chaka. It's T'Chaka's father,
the Black Panther of the 40s.
Yeah, it's a new character,
and they're going to be like whooping Nazi ass and stuff like that. And I think the box art or whatever shows the two of them, and then I couldn't tell there was a woman, and I wasn't sure. Is this
maybe it might be Peggy Carter.
But
the Howling Commandos are in it,
and the Howling Commandos. And I was thinking like if they want, they could actually. There is so many Easter eggs and stories you could pull from Marvel's backstories. Like you could even do, if you wanted to, elements of the Invaders.
Yeah.
You could set this up as a future thing. But like, is it like an action game where it's like sometimes you play as Cap, sometimes you play as Black Panther, or is it a team game?
I don't know. I think you and I are both riding high on Midnight Suns, and like it's just.
I would love it if it was turn-based, but there is no way.
As good as Midnight Suns.
There's no way that they'll make it a turn-based game. But yeah, like the trailer is pretty good, and so. And it's an interesting idea. It's something new. The sort of wartime Marvel is not something you've seen in video games.
The other video game, I just started playing Slay the Spire, which is a deck-building roguelike. It's really fun. Slay the Spire 2 is coming out this year, so I may try to check that out.
You're talking about on tabletop RPGs? Video games.
Video games.
That's right. That's right.
They made a tabletop board game, but it was impossible to get.
Right.
And actually, it's one of those where I'm like, I know why people want to play the board game of this, but this is kind of like Gloomhaven or one of those. I'm like, I think I'd rather have the computer do
it do the work.
Yeah, because it's a lot. So let's talk RPGs.
Well, actually, I've got a few video games.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a few.
I could not find anything on video games.
I am not playing a lot of games right now, so the honest truth is I may not get around all of these, but some of these are legit possibilities, like Death Stranding 2.
Oh.
Hideo Kojima's eccentric follow-up to the Metal Gear series, called disparagingly by some a walking simulator. But also like a game that had some true creepy things. Like you would walk through these sort of haunted areas where these, what were they, Nick? They looked like ghostly corpses tied to the earth by umbilical cords.
Yeah,
in Death Stranding.
Yeah, the babies.
No, that you're carrying the baby, but they were like full-size people.
Oh yeah. The actual ghosts.
And you had to be like incredibly silent around them, including holding your breath, which there was a meter for that, and so they had their own mechanics.
Cool.
It was creepy and cool, and I never finished it, but at the same time, I like its weird future setting.
Yeah.
Let's see, there is a new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, that's set in feudal Japan, and I'm sure is going to be super awesome. Okay. Metroid Prime 4, which I have... one of the only Metroid games I've ever actually played back in the Wii days was Metroid Prime 3. Mm-hmm. And was very cool. And finally, if it even happens, it might not happen this year, Fable 4. Nick, I know this has an interest in you, because I think both of us... I think Fable 2 in particular for me...
Fable 2 is great.
Is a great game... where you get to make fun choices for your character, and you can go good or bad, get skinny or fat, muscular or not, change up all your looks. You could be ridiculous looking, you could be badass looking, you can fight with like weapons at a range, like muskets and crossbows, or you be a swordsman, or use heavy weapons like hammers. And it was all set in what I can only describe as, I think, a sort of a Terry Pratchett-esque kind of fantasy world that was like, or maybe just to say like sort of Terry Pratchett, Douglas Adams vibes to it, like it had English sense of humor about it, but visually looked kind of cool. It almost looked like like a Pixar movie or something. Yeah. The characters looked, and the monster designs all looked very cool.
The world was fantastic. It was kind of just like
a slightly larger than life and darkly English humored kind of setting. Yeah. But if that actually happens, I will have a watch. I will be watching it to see, because like Fable 3 kind of stunk.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a terrible game, but comparatively it was. They dumbed down all the stuff that people liked.
There's
a lot riding on it.
There's also the remake of Metal Gear 3 Snake Eater.
Oh yeah,
that's supposed to hit.
That's right.
And also,
which a lot of people would say, and I would potentially agree, is the best of the Metal Gear games.
It's fantastic. It is the best.
That is the one that was set in sort of a 60s era and has both kind of Cold War elements and like prowling around in like Vietnam elements.
It has one of the best sniper battles with the
one of the best video game boss levels of all time.
Yeah. And there's also the sequel, or if not, in like the Ghost of Yotei, which is the Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Follow-up, which I know, Dave, you really
one of those
enjoyed.
Rare games that I finished. Yep.
But that's all I had.
Nice. That's a good one.
All right. I have a big board game list. Before we get to that, Dave, I know you had some tabletop RPGs. Did you look at like indie RPGs?
Nick, do you have any? I have both indie. I don't. And I mean, I want to do a quick call out to D&D's new edition stuff of the Monster Manual, which should be hitting soon.
End of January, I think.
And I just, we're going to be a bunch of cool new monster art. They're going to have all the new Apex versions. Every monster, I think, gets an Apex.
I'm excited about it.
Which I think even means there might be an Apex Pixie, and there could be a tough little Pixie.
It could be a tough Pixie.
Anyway,
off, man.
I would be curious to see also as D&D, as they've set up essentially what you might call their 5.5 books.
Yeah.
What new things that they will be putting out. I don't know what those things are, but I'm looking forward to it. So, a few other things. Starfinder 2 should be hitting, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And I will be anxious to see that. There is, in fact, speaking of Terry Pratchett, a Discworld RPG that's coming out this year. I am not immersed in Discworld stuff, but I will be interested to see that. And on that same level of things that kind of like D&D-esque things coming out, the second edition of 13th Age, which was the indie D&D that I quite liked from, a decade ago. I will be really interested to see how they do that. 13th Age was actually one of the most interesting and fun reads I've ever had of an RPG. The kind of more casually written rules were super fun to read. Honestly, even if you didn't play it, I'd recommend it. And it had a lot of some ideas that I think have been pulled into these other D&D type games since, like the escalation die and things like that, which I think are some neat ideas. Let's see. I don't know if it'll come out this year because it's like a Kickstart thing, but there's one of these third parties that had been doing Boardgames.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a Norse mythology one called Berserker.
Oh,
and
nice.
Berserker is spelled Berserker. Berserker.
There's many ways to spell berserker.
Yeah,
you can
that's
take out
what
all
we've
the
learned.
consonants.
These guys apparently made something, and I don't think it was like 2 years ago, but I don't think it's ever come in. I don't know if we've ever gotten it in a print edition. They did one called Ronin that was like Morkborg.
I don't think they ever did
Feudal
it in print. There's
Japan,
no print edition done.
and I want to put my hand on it and this upcoming Norse one if we can ever get it.
Dave, if you took, I misspoke. You said consonant. If you took out the vowels, you get Keanu Reeves' Berserker.
Right.
If you take out the consonants, is it just E?
Yes. There's one there, and I think I only have one other game here that sort of I want to keep a watch on. I was looking. Several people mentioned this. It has I don't think it's a great title. It's called Mythic Bastionland.
Huh.
And it seems like it has both like some crunch to it, and that it's like almost like a procedurally generated hex map series of adventures and quests.
Yeah.
But you play as like sort of knights errant, and they have like I guess 72 knights in there.
Okay.
And I think there's like both like a fair amount of hack and slash, but also apparently some deeper role playing. It's mainly the things that they said it's inspired by that interested me when I was like, they said inspired by the Prince Valiant comics,
Okay.
Excalibur the movie, Pendragon the game, Green Knight the movie, the recent one,
Okay.
and Elden Ring, the George
that's
R. R.
an
Martin
interesting,
lore written game.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so this is not just like it didn't seem like it's just hack and slash. Like there are deeper things in here, like in deeper role playing elements, but it is meant to capture some of the idea of like Arthurian lore and turn that into a good game.
Yeah.
And that sounds interesting to me. What do you call it? Pendragon is almost a little too Arthurian for me, too deep a dive.
Yeah.
So this, I'll be watching to see what this is like.
A couple things from me on the RPG front. Welcome to Night Vale RPG.
Oh yeah.
Just because I like that world, I will probably pick up that game just to have the game book, like the source material.
Sure, that sounds fun.
It seems like a fun thing to play, sort of almost like Paranoia.
Yeah.
Where it was like sort of weird.
You're not there to like kick ass and do the stuff. You're there to have some kind of fun at the table.
Yeah.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle RPG is getting 2 new hardcover volumes.
Is this the
Palladium one?
Reissue? Yeah. And I think streamlined. I think they did update the rules some.
So it was a Kickstarter, I believe. It's coming to retail this year. And I believe it's 2 volumes. One is the first one that has like that and After the Bomb or whatever.
Yep.
And the second one has like adventures and stuff. So basically you can get all of it in 2 hardcovers.
That's pretty
I
cool.
will probably pick those up just to have them.
I had all of those back in the day, and they were super fun reads with cool adventures.
I played them. I don't think I ever owned them. So
yeah.
Just for the character creation alone.
And then the last thing, Xanathar's Treasures. We have been doing really well with what are the dice that we have back there? The Acererak's Treasure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so it's a new series of
Xanathar's is the new version
mystery dice
this year.
bags.
So it's blind pack dice. This is the Waterdeep collection. So it's going to have 18 common, 15 uncommon, 8 rare, 5 super rare, 2 themed legendary, and 2 themed artifacts, which are natural stone dice.
Oh, wow.
So you could potentially pull a really expensive dice set out of these.
That's awesome.
In addition to the dice sets, each pack includes a coin tied to Waterdeep. So it's actually coins from Waterdeep.
Oh, that's cool.
There is a chance to find one of 50 24K gold-plated Xanathar coins and one
nuts.
of 7 branded dice bags.
That's nuts. These guys are the standard bearer for mystery dice, right?
Yeah, man,
Yes.
we get a lot of mystery dice, but these things are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I will, as always, when we get one, I buy 1 pack. I allow myself 1 pack, and I will definitely buy one of those. The Waterdeep coins, though, that is tempting, and that might get me to buy more of them. All right, last thing to mention, I went through and deep dived on Boardgames. I kind of keep track of stuff for what I'm going to play. I went to some of the like Dice Tower and some of those. And so I'm going to run down some of what I've heard about. You guys can ask me questions.
Sure.
So big on my list that's coming out. I don't know if it's coming to retail this year. It's a Kickstarter. It's running late. But the Marvel Dice Throne X-Men.
Oh, okay.
First question: is this a game?
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
So is this one of the 4-packs, or is this just one of the...
It is a big box, and they may put it out eventually as like 2 packs.
Okay.
But it's got a bunch of X-Men. It also has Deadpool. And it also has the Adventures version, which is the co-op. So you can now play the Marvel stuff as a co-op adventure.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So that's really big. Another one I've kickstarted. Again, I don't know if it's going to retail this year, but it might. It's supposed to hit me. I was supposed to get my copy in February, March. Called Deep Regrets. Mm-hmm. This is about it's a Cthulhu fishing game. The guy admits it is very inspired by Dredge.
I was going to say,
but it's not tied into it. But it's got gorgeous artwork, and you are basically catching increasingly more disturbing monster fish.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds cool.
It's a card game. It looks like a lot of fun. The art looks spectacular. This was number 1 on one of the Dice Tower guys' lists. It looks like a lot of fun. I have got The Last Command, another one that I've kickstarted. This is a 2-player deck builder where you each have kind of like Star Realms, but you each have a ship.
Okay.
So you have a deck that
like
represents your capital
kind
ship,
of thing?
and you're battling it out on 2 different ships.
That sounds
and
fun.
so the cards represent systems that can get damaged and that kind of thing. So I think you can upgrade your
What's that
ship.
called?
It's called Last Command.
Okay, yeah, that's something that might be interesting to me.
This one, I guess this has been maybe on the list for a couple of years, so I'm not sure if it's going to hit this year. It was supposed to hit last year. Called Spooktacular. This is a game of cinematic horror. It is Halloween night, 1986. The all-night Spooktacular Film Festival is running in full swing, but a storm is coming, lightning strikes, overloading the power, and releasing 100 years of cinematic monsters from the silver screen. You play the monsters.
Oh.
You are unleashed on a film, so it's kind of like Horrified, except you're the monsters, one of 20 unique movie monsters, and you are basically terrorizing the people in this theater.
Are they? I guess they must be kind of like iconic monsters, but not probably it's not like Freddy and stuff like that.
I see the Blob.
Oh, really? Is it called the Blob?
It just looks like a blob.
Oh, okay.
I see what looks like a group of people in masks.
They look like wooden meeples.
Yeah, they look like wooden meeples.
Okay. So they will be probably like the Final Girl things, suggestive of them, but not like all licensed.
Yes, correct. Yeah. This looks super fun. Ton of cool meeples. Really nice production values. Really fun theme. The Dice Tower guys had played some of it at cons. So it was really fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I'm a big deck builder fan. There's a new deck builder coming out called Star Trek Captain's Chair, which I am looking forward to. A Star Trek deck builder. This is from WizKids. Who do basically pretty good games.
Is it a multiplayer game?
Head-to-head, two-player.
Okay. That sounds pretty cool. They did a Star Wars... you said Star Trek?
Yeah.
They did a Star Trek skin of...
Star Realms, but it's just Star Realms. So this is... You play one of 6 captains. Jean-Luc, Sisko, Michael Burnham, Selah, Koloth the Dahar Master, I think is a Klingon.
Yep.
And Thylek Shran, who I don't know who that is.
That's an Andorian.
Okay.
So that's going to be Enterprise. He's going to be...
okay, that makes sense. And there's I'm looking and I see there's planet cards, there's character cards, but...
I like in their tagline that says, antagonism will not win every game. You will need to pursue diplomacy, exploration, and science.
Yeah.
With different captains excelling at different
But it's a deck
paths.
builder, huh?
The deck builder.
This sounds cool.
Yeah, this I'm looking forward to. Hopefully first quarter or second quarter.
Yeah, that as a Star Trek game, I feel almost certainly that I will pick it up.
Another game that has been on the list for a couple of years. I think it's supposed to finally hit this year. This is called The Dark Quarter. It is from Lucky Duck Games, the people who make Flamecraft and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Van Ryder Games, the people who do Final Girl. It's a collaboration between the two of them. And it is investigators solve mysteries in 1980s New Orleans while dealing with the dark and supernatural. Great theme, co-op, app-driven. You are a detective in 1980s New Orleans. It's got multi-scenario campaigns. This looks super cool to me.
1980s New Orleans was when the city was at its smelliest.
It's true. It's a good point.
That sounds very cool. I feel like you should have some jambalaya or catfish or a beignet as before or after it.
Yes. Azul Duel, which I mentioned, is coming out. This is the 2-player Azul.
Say it again.
Azul Duel.
That's pretty good.
I'm excited for this one because I want to try Azul, but a 2-player version sounds right up my alley.
It's a very pretty tile building game, and a 2-player version. All of the dual versions I've seen have been good.
I really want to play the Isle of Cats one too.
Yeah,
right.
A game called Formaggio, which is it's an expansion for Fromage, the cheese base. It's going to add more boards, that kind of thing. I really like Fromage. I'm excited they're getting an expansion out this fast. A game that has been on this is a game that's being built by the the people who do those little plastic cases, I forget what the name of them are. You know those little plastics, like component plate pieces. They're like the quick X trays or whatever.
Yeah,
so this is their game.
Okay.
And this is like their first game, and probably their last because they've been working on this for like 3 or 4 years. But it has really nice art. It's called Forsaken, and it is an open world space western, kind of Firefly looking.
Oh, interesting.
The art looks amazing. The gameplay at conventions has been really good. It's just they haven't gotten it to the table yet.
Yeah.
But if that comes out, is on my list.
It's Game Trays.
Game Trays, that's it. Yeah, no X-Trays. A game called Galactic Cruise, where you are building and launching ships to send guests on luxurious space vacations.
I thought you were building a space Tom Cruise.
That looks fun. A game called Ethnos is getting a second edition. I played Ethnos. It is a card set collecting game where you're playing different fantasy races.
Okay.
The first edition was great. It went out of print. They did a submarine exploration reskin of it that we had that our former staffer John bought. Mm-hmm. It was really good. But this is like back to the fantasy stuff in the second edition. So looking forward to this. I think this is actually might be coming out like next week.
Oh wow!
It's like very soon. But I'm very excited about that. Also doing a second edition of Parks, which is one of my favorite games.
Parks, good stuff.
It's going to get an upgrade in components and probably some gameplay upgrades. That's a great game. A solo game from Renegade and the designer of the space-based games called Unstoppable that looks superhero themed, but maybe like remember that Crackdown, that video game Crackdown that was like that kind of superpower stuff.
Okay.
A game called Luthier about building musical instruments.
Okay.
This is very high on everybody's list. It's from the people who made Distill, which is a game about distilling alcohol. It's tended to be a little more intricate game.
Yeah.
But looks super fun. Looks beautiful. And the last few are sort of like. I've seen little bits and pieces. I don't know too much about it. Coming of Age, which is a game about growing up and developing your character from a young age to adulthood.
Okay. Sure.
Looks fun. A game called Flow that is about ice flows and that kind of thing, which is supposed to be really good. A game called Night Shift that was designed by a former exotic dancer that is about being an exotic dancer. It's a resource builder. You choose which rooms to work, and it's not like an adult game. It's basically a resource management, but it's set in the world of exotic dancing.
But you probably wouldn't want to play it with your 10-year-old
Probably
necessarily.
not. But the gameplay looks great, and the components look great. It's a really interesting game.
I do like the idea of an elaborate worker placement game to play as a exotic dancer.
Yeah, you're like trying to decide who's the big spender you're going to stay all your time with.
Yeah. Okay.
Last couple, Deceased, Zombicide. The Zombicide games are good, but Deceased, I love Deceased, and I may pick up this Zombicide game.
It has the best zombie superhero lore that you're going to get.
A WizKids game called D&D Builders of Baldur's Gate, which I believe is what it sounds like. You are designing the city.
Huh?
You're a city builder, faction loyalty, defending against monsters. I really love Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah.
I love the idea of board games set in the D&D worlds, and WizKids has done a pretty good job. The designer on this, Matthew Dunstan, has done Guild of Merchant Explorers, which was really good. A game called Elysium, which I've heard things about. Pioneer Days is a game I like. So he's done a bunch of games I like.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Also a game called Next Station London, which I've not played, but was a game people really liked. And last on my list is Flashpoint Legacy of Flame. I don't know if this is coming out this year. It might. It was supposed to come out last year. This is a legacy game based on the firefighting game.
Okay.
So you basically build a firefighting company and go through. I bet it's got like a backdraft style campaign. There's probably an arsonist or something like that.
Honestly, I've always wanted to play this game, which I believe has generally been solidly reviewed.
It's very good. I liked it. I finally played it last year.
And yeah, if the legacy game gets a good review, I'd be interested.
Yeah. That is my list of games. That is our list of everything coming in 2025 that we know about.
If you have anything that you think is really cool that we don't know about that you would like to talk, to put on our radar, send us an email, indeed, and hopefully some of these things will be things that will interest you as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about them as they come out.
Yeah.
Anything else? We cover everything?
I think we got everything.
All right. Nick and I may or may not post our best ofs to the store Facebooks.
Yeah.
We put those together, so we'll do something. And until next week.
Yo, Joe.
Roguecast is a weekly podcast broadcast from Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas. You can find us online on Facebook and at www.roguesgallerytx.com and email us comments or questions at roguesgallerytx@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.